Assalamu alaikum. MashaAllah, we have Brother Eddie from the Deen Show here today at the Andalusia studio in the Andalusia Social and Educational Media Center in Houston, Texas. We just finished giving him a tour of this fresh and new project, alhamdulillah, that we're not only trying to launch here locally, but across America. So it's really a pleasure to be able to have you today, and I am very grateful, alhamdulillah, for Allah to have given us this opportunity to meet. I've been wanting to go to your show, and people have told me, you really have to go to the Deen Show. And I said, if I go to the Deen Show, I'll become a personality. It's like the Jay Leno show or Oprah show, for Muslims. And speaking to you today, alhamdulillah, I think there's a lot of benefit that we have gathered, and I thank you, and may Allah accept from you and continue to guide you and give you the best, inshallah, of success, not only with the show, but in general in life, inshallah, in this life and the hereafter. So Jazakallah khair, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. You started off with peace. You wished me peace. I wish you back peace. Wa alaikum assalam. May Allah bless you too, the creator of the heavens and earth, for doing this wonderful project, this show, and for your wonderful work. I'm honored to be here with you.
MashaAllah, thank you so much. So Eddie, usually you're on the asking side of things.
Yes.
So I'll take this opportunity to ask some of the questions that a few you've mentioned have asked, like Sheikh Yusuf Estes and others. But for us, maybe here in Houston, and for myself as a media professional and a person who has embraced Islam, we have certain questions, and I hope, inshallah, that you can shed some light on these for the general good. One of the first things was about your background. It was interesting to know. I honestly thought that you had embraced Islam from the beginning, like you had no clue. The same as myself, I had no clue about Islam one day. I didn't even know the word Islam existed, or Muhammad, peace be upon him, or even the word Allah. But you're telling me you come from a different background. Tell me a little bit about Islam in your background. Was it there? Was it not? How did that happen?
Well, I came from a predominantly, the background was Muslim, but it was just no substance to it. I didn't know what Muslim meant. I didn't really even know any of the tenets of Islam. I didn't know what Islam meant. I wasn't practicing Islam. Islam is an action. It's something you do. You make a conscious decision. It's not by default now. You're a Muslim. You're saved and you're chosen. You're going to paradise. You got a one-way ticket to paradise. It doesn't work like that. You have to consciously submit yourself to the Creator and do what He wants you to do. All the wonderful things. I wasn't doing that. My parents weren't doing that. So we were in a family. I was in a family of Muslims who weren't practicing Islam.
What's your ethnic background, by the way?
Bosnian. Yes, that's from the former Yugoslavia.
Okay, excellent. Yeah. Okay, so at what point in time do you think you had that urge to either change or embrace the Deen of Islam based on action consciously?
Well, I started to get older, started to see some of the wrinkles kicking in, some of the gray hairs, and things just started to get, as we say, just routine, just living a mundane life. It was exciting for some time, but then it just starts to get boring. You go through the action-packed lifestyle, and you want to mimic the superstars on TV, and you go to your parties. You work from Monday to Friday to have a good time and enjoy on the weekend, and over the years it just starts to get played out. It just becomes routine. It becomes something that is really it's not satisfying for the soul. Mm-hmm. So you're working on the body, the mind, but the soul is empty. So I came to a point where I started to ask, what's the purpose of life? What's this all about? I started to reflect about death, the reality of the grave, that one day I'm going to be there.
What was happening in your life that made you think this way? Because a lot of people go through life and they just cancel out those thoughts. There has to be some hardcore situations, life choices, or something drastic that happens in life. Did you have something like that?
Well, that's how really with me, it wasn't nothing in a spectacular event that happened. It was just small incidences here or there that I wasn't feeling it. It was like eating the same food, and it just, the taste, you had to experience so many. There's a story of a multi-billionaire who, when he took his shahada, he talked about, when the scholar of Islam asked him, what was it now? He started to cry when he took the testimony of faith, that same testimony that if you were living during the time of Jesus, Moses, that testimony that you're testifying, you're taking this free will that, I'm not going to submit to my desires, I'm going to submit to the one who created me. I'm going to submit and do all these wonderful things. I'm going to obey his messengers that he sent throughout time. So he took this testimony that there's no God but God, and Muhammad is the last and final messenger. And he became a Muslim. So when he was asked, why did you, start crying? He started bawling, And he was like, because I was a slave to everything in creation. He was a multi-billionaire now. So he had tasted all the finest dishes. He had been with all the most beautiful women, had the most exotic cars, the most beautiful houses, and nothing filled that void inside. So finally, when he came to this realization that there is a purpose in life, and who best to tell me but the creator of the heavens and earth, and he submitted to that purpose, this is what brought him that peace and that happiness. And that's what I was looking for. That void was there. It was there. I had, in my own little world, my own little realm, I had tasted, I had experimented, and there was no happiness. There was no joy. There was no solace. And it was a game, just going, and somebody's winning. Sometimes you win some, and you lose some. So I was at the point where I started to lose some of these games. And at the end, I was like, these young bucks, young boys, young men who are coming up, you always want to be the tough guy on the block. But there's somebody else who wants it more. Your desire is going down, so someone else is coming up, and that person is going to either step on you, you're going to get stepped on, or you're going to have to clear the road, so you're going to end up in jail, you're going to end up destroying your life. So these things start going, you're wiser now, right? You're wiser, and I started thinking, reflecting, and I started to ask that very crucial question, what is the purpose of life? Why am I here? Why have I been created? And alhamdulillah, all thanks to the creator of the heavens and earth, that Islam provided all the rational, logical proofs that this was from the creator. And finally, the void was filled.
MashaAllah. Excellent.
MashaAllah.
So when you made that transition and you were actually begin to embrace the concept of living as a Muslim wholeheartedly based on action, what led you from that period of time to think about something like the Deen Show? What was it that led up to that? What were some of the reasons that you said, if I were to do something like a talk show for Muslims, then it would then do? What was going through your mind? What was that thought process like?
After I had made a conscious decision, okay, this is the truth, based on proof, based on logical, analytical approach to this, and then I was like, you know what? If I just share this with all my friends, they're going to come to the same realization. It's scientific. It's something that, all these facts, it's not something like, it's not blind belief. It's not something that, okay, like when you talk to people about religion, it's something personal, you got your God here, and you do things on the weekend or something. No, it's a complete way of life. So I thought, and it's something rational. It's something that it just makes good old common sense. So I said, man, if I just share this with people, they're going to feel as good as I'm feeling. They're going to have purpose in life now. So I just started to share. I took a Dawah course. I started to, I went through, again, it's a long story made short, I went through the whole transition, reading, studying, sitting with people, and then kind of filtering out, from the places where I shouldn't go, the places I should go, the people I should sit with, people I shouldn't sit, going through authentic knowledge, unauthentic knowledge. I went through that whole transition too, long story. And then finally, when I realized, okay, I had that comprehensive blueprint, I said, let me share this blueprint with people, because it's going to give them substance in life. It's going to give them joy, peace. It's going to show them that, this life is temporary. We should be aiming for something high, paradise, But at the same time, you're not sacrificing this life. You'll take the best from this life, but you're not going to get attached to this life. So make a long story short, I started to share it. It's like if you develop a cure, now you find the cure for cancer, for AIDS, you'd be someone who's really unfair and unjust that you're not sharing this with others. So the same way, that person who wouldn't keep that to himself, you're a good person, you want to share this good information. And this is something that takes care of all the social ills that are out there. This way of life that's not organized by men, but is organized by the creator of the heavens and earth. And I just had this excitement. Let me share it, because sharing is caring. And Islam says love all mankind. So we love our brothers in humanity, and instead of giving them a Ferrari, a Benz, or all this money, Islam, the way of life from the creator, is the best gift that we can give humanity, because we love humanity.
MashaAllah. Did you begin giving talks to certain groups like youth and trying to inspire certain people because of your change, or did you just straightforward feel like, okay, if I'm going to share this message with so many people, I have to utilize media, and I have to take this camera and be able to just share it with as many people online as I can. How did you come to the realization of the fact that, you know, media was the way that you wanted to basically share this message?
Yeah, so what happened was that I was talking to individuals, and then I would also get to talk to non-Muslims, the not yet Muslims, because everyone has a potential to give birth what's already inside of you, that want and that need to submit to a higher power. So Islam calls you not to submit to a man or woman, but the creator of man and woman. So I was talking to individuals, I started to talk to groups, they'd come to the masjid, and we'd have some dialogue, present Islam. And then what happened was the Deen show, which some people would think now this is my name, Deen, but Deen is simply the Arabic word which means the way of life, the way of life, the same way of life, again, as I emphasized, the same way of life that Jesus, the Christ, the Messiah lived, and his companions at that time, the same way of life that Moses lived, Abraham. It's that way of submitting yourself, not to the Christian, but to the one God. So I'm preparing for Hajj, fifth pillar of Islam, all right? And now a lot of technical details. And I was also projects. You always look as a Muslim. You got now this excitement to get more good deeds. So one good deeds is really educating people. So I used to fly out some different scholars, and we would hold events together at the masjid. Okay. So I had a friend of mine come out, and I said, "Man, you know what? Let me put this on tape," because he's explaining to me, you got to do this, this, and that on the fifth pillar of Hajj. That same Hajj that Malcolm X, when he went to, who used to be a racist, he was with this nation, and then he left this nation because he went to Hajj, and this is where white, black, Chinese, we all sit together, worshiping the one God together. I was going to do that. And then all thanks is to the Creator, Allah, that we recorded it, he liked it. This sheikh was also a dawah machine, Muhammad Said Adli. I don't know if you know
yes.
what is it from.
You met him? Pioneer of dawah here in America. Yes.
He doesn't stop.
He's a good friend.
He's mashallah. And you know, if you've been around him, he's just all day. And
I just ran into him this last Hajj. He's always leading groups every single year, and he's
so he's
very
the one.
active. Yes.
He's the one, and we recorded it. He liked it. I liked it, and I said, man, you know what? Because when you're talking to some people, they're not excited. You learn the hard way. Some people are excited about it. Some people, they're still stuck on chasing their desires and, you know, this temporal world. Right. So you get discouraged sometimes. But after we recorded it, the light bulb went on. I said, alhamdulillah, this is a great way to reach more people. You don't, one-on-one is great. It's great, but it's there. You put the information. Now, if they want it, if they don't, it's up to them. They can change the channel. So the media was a great way to reach a lot of people and benefit humanity.
MashaAllah. Excellent. Now, just a few days ago, Oprah Winfrey, ended her show. And this show went on for 25 years. For a lot of people who don't know what Oprah Winfrey is or represents to America, she represents the fiber of American culture, especially the messaging, the strong messaging of women being empowered. That's the main underlying message. But when you see Oprah, I mean, she just had Obama there and Michelle. I mean, as friends, they've been friends for a long time. She's come to, you know, have a large following worldwide. I mean, when I was living in Egypt, they show her there. They show her, you know, many parts of the globe. You're in Chicago, and that's where Harpo Studios is.
Yes.
Where her, you know, I thought it was interesting that you have possibly the first, you know, Muslim geared or topic driven show that is of a format like a Jay Leno show or a, you know, Oprah Winfrey show. How do you feel about that? Is there any connection ever in your mind or anything in regards to aspiring to the level of being able to reach such a high mainstream? Even.
I would love that. That's actually one of my dreams, is that if Allah, the Creator of the heavens and earth, opens that door without us ever compromising, because we have the verbatim word of God, which is a healing, it's a medicine, it's the criteria for how a human being needs to live. So we go by that in the authentic tradition of the last and final messenger sent to mankind. And if we can, instead of replace now the Oprah show with the Deen show, that is a benefit for all of mankind. It's something that I would love. You know, if Allah opened up the channel, if it's a direction that He knows it's good for us, it's good that we can take this avenue, that would be something amazing. That'd be something amazing, because we'd be able to, again, reach more people. And I think this program, because we have some of the brightest minds that we bring on the show,